Question comes from ROJ, or Raj, I would say. And his question is, other large MMO games, especially single server sorts of universes, have historically seen large groups of players banding together in the name of disruptive behavior. This can take the form of denying an area of the game to other players, controlling the economy, or just generally causing havoc. What are your plans for the Star Citizen universe to accommodate the lone freelance miner caught up in the madness? There's a couple of things that make this make us a little different than, say, a lot of the other games I think you're referring to, like EVE Online. One is the fact that, well, first off, the player base is only ever going to be at most 10% of the overall population of what's happening in the economy, what's going on. So in terms of being able to like dramatically affect an area and economy, it's going to be pretty hard when you can't get enough. I mean, if 10% of the overall player base is doing that, a large group inside a player base is much smaller than 10%, so you're not really going to be able to have an impact on any kind of global scale. You may be able to have an impact in a star system or around a planet or something like that. But then the other issue is, because we have such high fidelity, we can't have too many people in one particular instance. Like right now in Arena Commander, I think it's like 8 people. We're going to be upping that for V1.0, and we've got some new sort of multiplayer network tech and code that's coming online that will enable us to have a lot lower data throughput between the different clients to the server, which will enable us to have a lot more players in any one instance. But even in the best case, we're sort of thinking we could potentially get 50 to 100 people in one instance. So that's not the same thing as, say, an EVE Online that gets a lot more than that, because they have a much slower pace, because we have to simulate it at the sort of fidelity we do. And so there's only so many people that you can cram into one instance. And then we also, in terms of the matchmaking who can go in the instance, we don't allow anyone to sort of overwhelm it. So any one group of allied peoples, from an organization or affiliations, are limited to a certain portion of the overall population of that instance. So we always reserve spots for friends of other people in the instance and all that kind of stuff. And so it won't be a case where 1,000 people can get together and sort of like control an area or bullet, because they just won't be able to. And then also, if you're a sort of lone freelance miner wanting to go about your own stuff, a lot of times we'll also be sort of matchmaking you. And so there may be a field of asteroids, and there could be people in that field of asteroids doing stuff, having a battle, and then you're a miner flying into it, and if that instance is full, then you may just get put into another instance of exactly the same asteroid field. So you can almost think of about some stuff happens in other dimensions in the same area you are. They will affect the overall global economy, but you won't necessarily always see it, and it sort of depends on kind of what you want to do. Because if you say, well, I want to be more PvE than PvP, the overall sort of contextual matchmaking in the universe itself will tend to put you together with other NPCs, by the way, and that's not necessarily an easy thing, because we're going to have plenty of tough NPCs, but you would potentially be put together with pirate NPCs attacking you rather than players that are pairing a pirate role. If you were saying, I want to be more in sort of PvE land than PvP land, of course there are going to be areas of the galaxy that sort of, there is no kind of hand-holding, if you want to call it, or whatever you want to call it, in the sort of totally outer ranges of the galaxy where there's no law and order. It's sort of open season. But if you're in a sort of safer area that's closer to the core, then we sort of try to put people together that sort of will have similar play styles or similar affiliations or whatever, and not always put you in a situation where you're going to have a bunch of people trying to ruin your day. We certainly do want to allow organizations to have some impact on the local economy. We want to have areas of space that they can sort of take over and control. So we're going to also build that into the universe. But the idea is it's a huge sandbox, and the idea would be that there's areas for the different play groups to all go and do and have a lot of fun and sort of achieve their objectives, but not necessarily spoil the other people's fun. I know everyone thinks I'm an ideal dreamer, but that's my goal that's my goal. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I've got a good feeling about it, but I could be completely delusional and crazy. We'll see. I'm sure I'll hear from you guys on the forums. Okay, the last question comes from